And that's how I got Jack kicked off of Twitter.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Jack deserved it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Big Brother Chat. And great week, right, guys?
It was fun. Lots of stuff happening. Finally, a HOH competition that was, I don't know, I was really excited. I yelled at my TV a little bit. It was good stuff.
You were yelling like, no, don't take that skinny one. You can't do that one. What are you doing? No.
Oh, man.
I thought Derek
watching
Alyssa for just a moment.
Okay, I was getting very nervous with Z at the very end when he started. I thought he was about to like make a dive or something for it.
He's like super leaping. Yeah.
Don't
crazy
hurt yourself. It's not worth it. You don't got it. It's not that close. But yeah.
Don't injure yourself. Don't pull a Christmas.
If Z hadn't fallen off that first one and had to start again, he would have gotten out of there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That was some Holland. That was some Holland booty. Yeah, it was really fun to watch. It's fun watching them, start to kind of put a few pieces together about how their game, like how important it is to get the HOH. We're no longer, you can just take the HOH or you can have the HOH. They all want it. So, this is when the real game starts.
I don't really need it this week, so I'm just going to,
Yeah. Kind of tired of that, tired of the HOH throwing it. I mean, I understand when you're working together as an alliance and there's reasons to do that at certain points of the game, but it's always much more fun when people start breaking it down and really playing for their own sense of power and safety.
Was that really Arnold's voice?
No, but man, it could have been.
Yeah,
it's a voice actor. I should have taken the notes. It's a voice actor. He's done lots of other things that you would probably recognize him. And if you followed his Twitter, I'll send it to you. I'm horrible that I didn't write down his name, but it is voice actor.
That was so good. I was truly expecting like Arnold to walk out to promote something.
It was perfect.
Well, the voice sounded just like him, but it was the words he was saying were too cliche, so it couldn't have been him. Do you know what I mean?
If you're making,
but the voice was spot on.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Yes, this voice actor, he does all sorts of things. He's got a really great Christian Bale. He does. It's really good. But,
for walking through the scene.
Yeah. Amateurs. Yes. Good stuff.
So some people were upset that they didn't get to play in OTEV.
I have a confession to make about the OTEV competition. I literally was yesterday days old when I realized that OTEV is veto backwards. I mean, I felt like I just hit myself in the head moment.
It's like the hungry
years I've never thought about it.
Butterfly.
Listen,
really
David,
growing into your big brother self.
Life is all about learning new things. If you don't learn something new every day, what is the point? So there you go. You
well, and it was written there, and I saw it, and I went, "Oh." It was so obvious.
Well, and whatever you have to live for, that's what you got to go with. So yeah, great voice acting. That was fun. I mean, wouldn't you be upset though if you say you got the chance to be in Big Brother and then you made it as far as the OTEV competition and like you didn't get to play in it? That seems like you would really, I don't know. It's like it's the competition, But,
right. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Do you know that BB is short for Big Brother spelled backwards?
Now he's going to be paranoid. He's going to be like trying to make anagrams out of everything. He's going to be like, what?
Yeah, every little thing.
Every little thing's going to like scramble letters. Julie Chen, what does that spell?
Hey, JP, did I tell you I'm following Stephen C. on Twitter now? He's been posting these lovely pictures of his veranda.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
It had to be done.
Low blow.
Is he trying to keep his Jack?
How's that toothbrush?
So I was told that this was 2 weeks in a row that they had to do where they couldn't end the show, right, with the veto. The veto,
I don't understand it. I don't. Okay, give me just a second to vent about this.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, we're going to completely sidetrack the entire interesting part of the game so that we can give our CBS fans, like the casual watchers, a little bit more time to see Brittany yell something that she's already yelled a bunch of times, or Big D say, "Oh no," a million times. But let's leave out all the actual gameplay so that we have to push the veto to Thursday.
Right. Which is I think anticlimactic for the person who's just watching. If they're not following anything else.
Yeah. And it's really obnoxious. Like, this probably doesn't matter to everybody, but it mattered to me. 2 weeks in a row, we see that somebody chooses to use or not use the veto, and then they close that box, and then you don't get the music and then the narrative, and it's just really uncomfortable and weird.
Listen, this is season 23. Big Brother has a formula. They got a format. Stick to it. I mean, if you're going to change something, get rid of Julie. Come on.
Yeah.
They should do the call-outs on a Friday cliffhanger.
Just an hour of it.
My favorite, Claire, let me down. Did you see tonight? She did call out.
She did.
And I wanted to cry. I really was choked up. I was sad. But you know who didn't do call outs this week? My other final 2X.
Well, somebody had to make up for it then. That's what she came at. Yeah, her sister is actually on Twitter, and she's like, well, Claire lost her perfect streak of no call outs.
Yeah.
So she's no longer my favorite player. She was.
I've decided that I'm going to pay big money. If I find out who the cast is next year, I'm going to pay big money to one of them to call out you 5 times every time the camera's on them. You're like, they've got, as they're walking out the door. That's all I want.
I can totally, give Claire this one because she doesn't do it every week, right? So, 1 week, that's okay. Maybe
she's never done it.
Right. So now she's got something to do. So people who do it every single week, please.
They're starting to lose track of all the people they have to call out. Like, they're like,
Well, Kylan's was like, he needed one person that went, and everyone else.
Yeah, right. Because
he couldn't think in the moment. He couldn't think of anyone else's name.
On the award shows, when they have to thank everybody on the award shows, and they're winning their 5th award of the night, and they have to think of new people to thank. It's kind of like that. But no,
cue the music. Cue the music.
Get on out. Get on out. They should just cut their. Well, it's live. They probably wouldn't do that. They like it.
They can do it. Yeah, they can do it however they want. So here's the dealio. So I'm thinking we've got people who won a lot of BB bucks this week. And then we've got some that didn't win any. And here's the thing. This is where
you find out if they're transferable.
I don't think that they are. I think
could Brittany have handed hers to Azah before she left, or no?
Nope, they're non-transferable. And I think that we also really saw the difference between what Twitter wants and what Facebook wants. That's basically what we were witness to this week. So we see Brittany and Big D, and honestly, neither of them were in any real hot water to need those BB bucks. They weren't. But they're huge with the casual watchers, and they're the favorites. So all the money went to them. But I thought it was interesting is that I had taken the stand of, we need to send the money to the person who needs it. And Christy was like, well, maybe we could use it to sabotage the person who doesn't need it. And I thought it was great because we actually got to see that happen both ways. So, I mean, Tiffany's not any good at pushing drinks down the aisle. Nobody is apparently. Why didn't they push the first one as far as it could go? Push it really hard, and then if it falls off, you got 2 more tries.
Right. All right, let's send some now. Who should we send one to right now? We'll send a BB buck to someone.
But it depends. Do we think somebody is going to use it that's in danger and need it? Or is it going to be somebody who isn't and we put in danger by giving them the money? Because let me tell you, Brittany, okay, this is where I was getting all mad about our little edit. Brittany was in no danger this week originally. None. Not even really with the money. She wasn't.
She ticked Kylan off early on because in the HOH she put Kylan against Sarah Beth so they'd have to go and eliminate someone. So that sat like it gave him a sour taste in his mouth to her. And if that had been all that happened, then I think it would have been okay. But
that is the CBS story. That is the CBS version of the story. He really didn't actually get that upset about it. The only person that really got upset about the versus thing was Azaz. Like she noticed it and didn't like it. But what was really happening is once Tiffany and Claire realized that Brittany was getting this money, they turned to Kylan and said, listen, and Xavier, and they're like, listen, we're having rifts that are happening. Well, Claire didn't say this part, Tiffany did. We're having rifts that are happening in the cookout. Why? What's going on? What do we keep fighting about? Like, what is it? Why are we having so many problems working together?
What's the common denominator?
Oh, well, it's Azah and Tiffany or Big D and Tiffany. Okay, but what are we always running into? What caused this problem?
Right.
Brittany. If we get rid of Brittany, the cookout's going to be more solid and work together because that's the one hinky edge. We got to get rid of her so we can get their loyalty because right now they're still loyal to the Joker. So
right. No, Brittany was trying to hold that on because that's kind of all Brittany had was those two, right? So she's holding on them for dear life and crying.
Yeah.
And it kind of really annoyed me because she didn't have this bigger view. She was so myopic in the whole, why are they bullying me? Why are they coming after me? Why are they? Okay, listen, we're this many weeks in. If people are telling you things and telling you, oh, yeah, we'll work with you. Yeah. But then they turn around and don't. It's because they have alliances with someone else before they had one with you. It's not you were just
right. And this is part of the game where you have to really and maybe some of the things that she battles with sometimes really make that difficult for her because this is one of those situations where you need to stop listening to what people are saying and catching what they're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where everyone's shooting things out. Well, who would you put up? Who would you put up? You need to start listening to who they wouldn't put up.
And you have to take into consideration who's saying what. Like in a conversation with another person, you guys can have a conversation that maybe this is the overall conversation of the, but what are you bringing and what are they bringing? Because they can agree with you. That doesn't mean they really agree with you. Like if you say something and they go, oh yeah, 100%. No, they're not. They're just
which is essentially what Claire was saying, right? In her diary feeds, like,
yeah,
no, pay attention. Pay attention.
Are they giving you info? Are they giving you promises? Then maybe that's true.
Right.
And it feels like Derek X is getting closer to figuring out what's going on. Because when Kylan and Xavier tried to talk him into throwing the HOH, I think they overplayed that.
Here's the thing. There was a great conversation. There's two really important things that happened this week that we didn't really get to see in anything we were shown through CBS tonight. One, I'll just do quickly, is that Kai blew up his game. Whatever Kai had going at the beginning of this game where he was like, had so much promise, that person is gone. He's not playing the game anymore.
Well, why do you think?
Kai is like over questioning every single person to the point that people in his own alliance are like, oh my God, man, just what is
the factor there for him to be doing that though? Is that because
I think it's just he has some difficulties communicating thought in a straightforward path. And he tends to get caught up a lot and rewind what he said a lot. And I think he just gets a little bit lost, but mostly I think that works against him because he's also getting a little bit paranoid and kind of losing his touch on the game. He spent 2 weeks just sort of wrapped up in the world with Sarah Beth and not worrying too much about what everyone was doing. And now he's lost touch with where everybody stands. But he's getting do you remember his first HOH? And I was like, he's getting a little bit like mean with like, I'm not going to answer any questions. He pulled that again, except for this time, everyone was like, no, you want to know every single thought I have, but you're not going to bounce any of that back to me.
I liked that strategy his first HOH because it was early enough in the game. But now, yeah.
It worked for him. He was able, I think that because he's such a likable person that he got away with it. Because when he's not HOH, he's not like this. He doesn't go around badgering people for information when he's not HOH.
Well, is he essentially HOH again this week?
I don't know. That's yet to be seen.
I can't see Sarah Beth is not going to go against him.
No. Absolutely not.
So she's basically going to do the Cookout's bidding and not realize she's doing it.
Right.
I don't know though.
I don't know.
Because she's gonna. I cannot imagine that she's not going to go after Tiffany. It's like common sense. She should go after Tiffany if you're going to play the tit for tat game. But
Tiffany and Derek probably.
Yeah, Tiffany and Derek.
Right, but then Derek goes home.
I hope.
Here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. We have a couple of different things working against us as we get down to this. We have the Cookout, which we're all like, great, this is awesome. This is exciting to see this group of people break history, like just come in and do something totally different just by who they are and what it stands for. Mm-hmm. But every single one of these players at some point in time has either said to another player or has looked at the camera and said, I need to get back in this house. I want to play this house again, but I want to play my game. I want to play for me. Because what the Cookout really means to them is something so special and transient and bigger than themselves that they're all getting like really stuck on this. Like, we have to make the Cookout happen at the final 6. We all have to cut the one person we actually trust the most and trust in this thing that's bigger than we are. So it's kind of scary because that's why we've got Azah and Big D getting all upset about Brittany, because don't let them fool you. They knew it was happening. They got the okay. They knew they had to do it, but it was breaking their heart.
So those those two both lost their other person because Big D's person was Frenchie, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Azah's person was Brittany. They're gone.
But that also both Azah and Big D had Brittany. It was like they were the three instead of the two.
After Frenchie was gone, it was like they.
Right. It was kind of like how Xavier had, Christian and Alyssa as his side people.
Right.
But Tiffany knows she's going to have to let go of Claire, and it's bothering her. And I mean, like, they all know. But here's the deal. I don't think Xavier is that concerned that he's going to let go of Alyssa. I think he sees everybody like rolling around, hurting, being sad, stressing out about having to betray the person they actually trust the most in the game. I mean, Hannah's going to have to say goodbye to Derek. It's a thing. But I don't think Xavier really cares.
Right now the game is like, who can be the last to let go of their person, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Because there's 4 of them still have, right? So that's, right? So Kylan and Sarah B, right?
Yep.
Derek
Xavier and Alyssa and Claire and Tiffany.
Okay. I think just by that, I think Alyssa's going to go home before the other ones, but I don't know. If she was on the block, I don't know.
I think it's probably I depending again, it's this twist business. So the thing is with like a pure game that doesn't have any twists and turns and stuff, that you could either get like a really boring game, but most of the time you get a little bit more strategy, because if you know a twist is going to happen, that stops the strategy in its tracks, because you have to wait and see what's going to happen with the twist or who's going to get the money. Like, you can't have 3 days of playing every scenario out in your head that's going to work best for you as an HOH, because you have no idea who's going to get what.
Ro doesn't like Sarah B, and she doesn't trust her.
She shouldn't trust her. This is Big Brother. She's going to have to take people out. Just gotta
Sarah,
take 'em out.
did you see how Kylan, when she won, how Kylan ran up to give her? Did you see how she kind of pulled away from him?
She's like, "Hey, we got to pretend like we're not as close, even though everybody knows."
It wasn't very celebratory. Do you know what I mean? Usually it's like there's a big hug or something when somebody that whether they're working together or not, they hang out together. You would think you'd be happy for her.
Well, and again, like I said, this last week, Kylan did not make any friends. Like he just didn't. He was making people angry. The way he was speaking to people, like, wasn't making any sense. Like he got like really Julie Chen on everyone and just started like randomly telling them quotes, as his answer. Like, be good. Like, what? What is that supposed to mean? Like, be best. So it's like he couldn't. He was up all night. Like, the poor dude wasn't sleeping. Like, he has like all of this cereal like poured out on the table. He's separating all of these cereals into like separate spots to indicate like players, like a chessboard, like trying to figure all of this out. And he just stared at it for hours and hours and hours. And he realized, I think he realizes it's not like a surprise, but he realizes like, man, I just keep getting rid of the people that I probably should be keeping. Like he's easy. It's easy to get all confused when you are like throwing things out at people and refusing to have an open conversation, because you can't like go back to that person and be like, oh yeah, that's right. This is why I felt really good about making this decision.
He did not want this HOH. So if Tiffany hadn't said the wrong thing and buzzed in all and wrong, he didn't want the HOH.
Is he on the bottom of the cookout now, do you think?
No, Tiffany is.
Because that's going to become a factor pretty quick. If the person on the bottom of the cookout knows they're on the bottom of the cookout,
that's when you jump from the coop.
Then I'm not 100% certain that the greater meaning of the cookout is going to be worth going home personally.
I think on one hand, Tiffany recognizes that she keeps sliding back down to the bottom of the cookout thing. But I think that her ego and her perseverance keeps getting her like lifted up just at the nick of time every week. That might not always work for her, especially going into it this week. But her and Xavier have they're really interesting to watch the two of them work out a process now, because his process is one thing, hers is the other thing. They're both of like such intelligence and stubbornness that you can see them coming to terms like with, you're going to be my problem, but we're going to work together, but you're going to be and they're both there. They both know exactly what they're saying to the other person is, we're working together, but I see you. And it's so fun to watch it, because these two, if she doesn't get booted out, these are the two that are going to have to really fight it out to the end, because Azah, Big D, Kylan, maybe Hannah, but probably not Hannah. It's Tiffany and Xavier. Like they are the ones that are just they have their finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in that house.
But if you were on the bottom of the cookout and knew you were going to go home first, making a move somewhere around 9 to go, you know what? There's this alliance. You don't know about it. You need to come with me, and you could get the other 3 people. Then you turn one more vote and you flip the house. It's
Again, that is how one should absolutely play the game for themselves. Right. It's the idea that they are.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that all 6 of them are united for playing for something bigger. I think that's.
They are. I think they are. They
are.
They stop. They look at that camera. They're crying. They're like, "This sucks. I want to take them out because I can't stand being in the same room with them."
But that's easy to say when your own neck isn't on the line. When you know that you might be the one going home,
right? When the fire's
that's going to be a different calculation, and anybody smart enough to make that calculation is going to go, well, if I wait till it's the final 6, it's too late. I'm gone.
But here's where all of this gets
And somebody like Tiffany's gonna make that calculation.
I want to go home in sixth place. You should take that opportunity if it means, to grab some people and move ahead.
Oh, absolutely. And if you look, you've got Claire, you've got Derek X. You could possibly persuade Hannah, though I don't know. You got maybe
I think if
Sarah
Tiffany
Beth
jumped and Derek X knew what was going on, I think Hannah would jump.
I think together they could get Hannah.
Yeah, I definitely think there is a very good possibility. But again, you saw some of the footage where
that's 5.
Some of the footage where they're sitting there talking, where there was this whole moment that Derek X and Claire were like, this whole realization of like, wait a minute.
There's no
wait a minute.
There's no white men. What is that?
Something looks different around here. And then they go, oh, that's when he's like, oh, you know what? Like, there's no white males left. Like, that's never happened before. And Claire's like,
recognize that not laying there in bed? Wouldn't you go and look at the wall of photos and be like,
And Claire goes, right? I know. I was going to say something, but like, I didn't want to say something. I'm so glad you said something. And then they start laughing and they're like, it's happening. TV history is happening right now. And we're going to be on the other end of it. And this is how we lose our game. Ha, ha, ha. And they totally were joking. And it's like, oh my gosh, you guys literally just pinned it.
Okay, they're laughing, but secretly, don't you think each one of them believes it's true, but doesn't want to let the other person think that they know it's true? You don't think so?
No.
You don't think
No.
Oh, then that's dumb.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? But here's the thing. This is another thing we don't actually really get to talk about with these people in the cookout have never all sat in the same room together unless it's in the living room. Not once. Not once have they all been together in the kitchen alone, in the pantry alone, in any of the bedrooms alone. Right. There's never more than 2 or 3 members from the cookout together without another person in the house.
If a fourth comes in, another one leaves.
Yes, they are covering their butts left and right to make sure, because it seems like it would be so obvious. They've got that covered, so they're not seen together. And like Tiffany will be like, that Kylan's like blah 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 blah. It's easy to make it look like, if you're on the inside, that that could happen. How funny if it did, but that's not what's happening. Now, guaranteed, if they were to like get out, they're in jury, so they won't get this. But Julie was like, oh, and by the way, there's this alliance in the house. Every single one be like, I knew it. No, you didn't.
Yes,
you didn't know it. You didn't know, because if you would have known it, you wouldn't have voted out Brittany. You would have gone after Big D.
Since Brittany was the vote out today, when she was listening to her stuff, I thought at some point somebody was going to say that to her in their goodbye.
Right.
Yeah. But see, they all talked about it. They said, guess what? We are not going to, when we do our goodbye messages, they've all agreed that they are not going to mention, the cookout in any of their goodbyes, because they're not entirely sure if there's going to be a battle back. And so they're doing it just to cover their butts. Like they're trying to cover their stuff.
No. Has there ever been a battle back from jury? No,
not this far down the line. That's not usually something we get.
No.
Another thing that's going to come in and say, okay, so you're right. If this is where the real strategizing of the game needs to come into play, because you've got the 6, we have to watch. Someone's going to try to eat the rest of them. It always happens. Like it's how these games would go. But Big Brother has decided that they want to jump in now with this future triple eviction. They're not going to do a double. It's going to be a triple. And they're doing it right on the week where most of the house usually flips on its head. So they're kind of taking away all of the chances at this point in time for us to just watch some battles really happen.
And watch it unfold naturally. We're going to have it. It's going to be like super quick. Oh, I see that. That's not cool.
Right. So we're going to kind of miss. I think triple's overkill. I think it takes away a lot of the story. Double eviction is exciting, but triple is it's too much.
Yeah. Because you want to see some of the simmer, right? You don't want to see it just, it's always boiling over. You want to
I hate the week after where they show, now we're going to show you the things we didn't show you last week.
Well, I kind of wonder if maybe that's some of the stretch of doing our veto on eviction night, because Sunday nights have been, at least with these seasons, normally Sunday nights are just, I mean, almost skippable. You know, they're boring.
We already know who the HOH is.
Usually that's when you get to see kind of some of the stuff that they didn't show the week before, though. Like,
right. So maybe
for the vote, live vote and stuff like that. But
right. Well, the bottom line is that Claire and Tiffany, again, they've kind of had their pulse on this eviction. Tiffany, I mean, listen, Kai is kind of messed up as HOH, but he's not an unintelligent person. He went from putting Claire to being convinced to take Claire off, even though he knew Claire was dangerous, because working with Tiffany, he can see how smart Tiffany is and that Claire is that loyal to her.
But that he was able to be swayed, even though he knew. Doesn't that make Tiffany the better player right there? Because the two of them are on the bottom.
Well, it depends on what she does with it. If she plays down to 6 and gets kicked out, I can't acknowledge she's the better player.
Sure. But I thought if those are the two that are on the bottom, I feel like Tiffany would be able to make a better argument or be able to talk people her way better than Kylan would.
Right.
Right? Okay.
I
hope.
Well,
I can see that.
Another part is that Tiffany might pop off occasionally and have where a hothead comes out for a second, but anytime she's had it, she has been able to break it down in a language that everyone listening can understand. Right? Yeah, she is not a fool. She knows when to say, I was being a fool. Yeah. And I should not have spoke to you that way. And I am very sorry. And this is where she says these key phrases that are just like so great, because she'll go, I can understand you're upset because you thought that's where I was coming from. It makes sense you would be upset. But I'm just telling you how I was feeling, not what and who I think you are.
Yeah.
You know,
she validates them. She validates them, so then therefore they feel heard, and then they're willing to listen to what she has to say.
So she'll get people irritated. I mean, she'll get people mad. But right now, their focus on Tiffany, like we were saying, David, it's not because of any of these things. It's because they go, she's smarter than I am. Like, she sees the things I'm not seeing ahead of time, and I've got to get her out because, in this game, lots of times there could be something where you go, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that in the future. Or I don't even know that's going to be a problem in the future until it's right in front of your face, and then you panic and don't know how to deal with it. Tiffany, and with the help of Claire, they've got this all lined up. They know what to say and who to say it to.
If that's the case, then if she gets put up, does Xavier decide to take a shot and just say, you know what, we'll do the cookout with 5?
Okay. No. If Tiffany gets put up against an alliance member, if Tiffany gets put up with somebody else out of the cookout, Tiffany will likely be gone. But if Tiffany's put up against Claire, if she's put up against Alyssa, if she's put up against Derek X, they're gone. Tiffany's not going anywhere. They will bring her to the final 6. When they've talked to her about going, they've already discussed it. You will go up on the block. You will be a pawn. We have to get these other 3 out. So even with all the little me, the plans, I do not see any of them. The only way they vote one of their 6 out is if Sarah Beth puts them against each other on the block.
Or it gets to a situation where,
I don't think she will.
They can't get themselves off, and they can't win the veto, and they can't manipulate the nominations. Yep. Then they have to.
Yeah, because these guys are going to the 6, and there's no people who have been studying this game in and out. They're like, this is it. It might be boring for everybody else, but they're not going anywhere. Like, unless somebody, and that was kind of the big thing about someone like Sarah Beth winning the HOH tonight, because it is the only chance we have for a different story for the next week. Because otherwise it's going to be Claire or Derek X, and it's just, or Alyssa. That's just the way it is. They're getting rid of them. They're really serious about this 6.
I really hope that Sarah Beth looks smartly at who can beat her. You know what I mean? And puts those nominations according to that. Because Tiffany would not be one of those people, I wouldn't think, only because she's won no competitions. Kylan has. So put Kylan. Well, she's not going to put Kylan up, but do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, she won't put Kylan up.
She might put Xavier up.
Maybe.
She might.
He's won competitions.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
he puts up Xavier and Tiffany. That's a really interesting week.
But I could also see her. I could also see her stabbing herself in the foot and just putting up one of the people that could save her game. Because
without realizing it, right?
Yeah, Derek X and Alyssa.
Yeah. All it's going to take is for Tiffany or Xavier to say something to Kai, and Kylan's going to suggest it to her, but it's going to come in the form of, this person's been saying Sarah's name all week. They want Sarah gone before Claire. Something like that. They want Sarah gone first. They keep pushing it. And then he has to say that to Sarah. Boom. She is very smart, but I feel like she could be duped into something like that. I feel like that's how it'll go.
Yeah, I'm not smelling a big move.
This is going to be one of those like just plain old ABC weeks. Nothing special is going to happen.
You don't think so?
No. I think she puts up Alyssa and Derek X.
Yeah.
Because she has no idea what's going on.
Who's going to get all the money this week?
And then she's going to attempt to backdoor Tiffany. That'll be her plan.
Derek X got the $100.
Another thing that I have on here too is when we're all back. We're all back. We're here to party. It's fine.
You were frozen.
You were frozen.
You're like this.
Did I really have that? Every time. No. Every time.
You froze like Jack's Twitter.
This week is where that wild card is going to, or whatever they're calling it, is going to be interesting. Because if Derek X gets money again and can play in something to save himself, because I really like Derek X and I really like Claire and I really like Tiffany. I want the three of them to stick around. They're my top three.
Yeah, that's my three too. Those are my
three. That'd be a good foursome.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are my hearts to win. They are.
We included Frenchie. Let's not forget that.
I totally took that back after week 1 though. Let's be fair. I was like, not even before my week 1 was up. I was like, get
him gone. If
take it back.
No take backs on final twos.
And like every time I see updates about him on Twitter, I'm like, oh, glad I took it back. That is a mess.
Well, my original 2 were Hannah and Claire, so I'm still.
You're doing good. Doing good.
I really wish that Tiffany and Hannah would get together and be like.
Isn't that one of the most frustrating things as a viewer of this game, where you got one person and another person, if they just communicated, they'd be like the perfect team. Yeah.
Because then, what do? If you get HOH, you put up Xavier and Alyssa. You put up, because, and then when Xavier gets back, go, no, it's not you. But we got to get rid of these other people, and this is how we're going to do it, right?
Yeah. It kills me every time.
Team Hannah. Yep. See, Rachel's for Hannah too. She's wicked smart.
I don't think Hannah can win without Derek X in the house.
Right.
I don't.
Well, she's still sliding
I don't think she's Final Four in the cook. I think she goes 5th.
I think this is where Hannah's gameplay would have issues, even if she made it to the final 2. Let's say every series event fell right, she made it to the final 2. She doesn't have a resume. She would have to be slaughtering left and right from here on out to have a resume good enough for a win.
Like literally,
she went up against Azah.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe.
And I love Hannah. That would be so great if she could really just start taking the reins on this, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, her and Tiffany have a good relationship. Her and Derek X have a really good relationship. We love her. She's smart. We hear what she's thinking when she plays things off with them, but she just hasn't been in charge of the moves.
Let's say your final 2 is Hannah and Big D. Who wins?
Oh,
Nobody wins.
Hannah would deserve the win. Yeah, nobody wins. Nobody wins.
Your final two is Hannah and Big D, $750,000.
Big D wins.
He deserves it.
At that point, it's a popularity contest.
I think you're right.
But see, then we'd have, okay, well, who do we have in jury? And who do they? Claire would go to Hannah, Tiffany, Hannah, Derek X, Hannah, Sarah Beth, Hannah, Brittany would go with Big D. Azza would go with
Big D.
Kai,
who knows?
I don't know. Kai would be, I don't know. Kai would be a tough
one.
And
Xavier's kind of an unknown too. Those two guys, who knows which way they'd go.
But so far, Hannah's got the votes.
Hannah could win. Yeah.
Let's say somehow miraculously it comes down to Hannah and Big D, final two. Is there a season 24?
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, is it?
Oh,
that was so good. I gave you a victory sip.
It would be tough. Yeah, I wouldn't be like that excited about it for sure.
I mean, would that be the first final episode where Julie's like, I got nothing to ask. I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah, and that's when they're gonna bust out their stuff. Like he's gonna bust out that his dad's a heavyweight champ, and she's gonna bust out that she's 19 years old or whatever.
See, that's what I'm questioning when they're saying that they're not going to talk about. They're not going to show their cards as an alliance because there might be a battle back. So whoever the first one of them is that makes it in the jury house is the one that gets to break the news. You know what I mean? When they realize there is no battle back. So now I can tell them what's been happening. So
I don't know. How do you think that's going to be received?
With open arms and amazement.
Yeah. With an applause.
Yep, for sure.
Because everybody who's in the house or is going to end up on jury is member of a marginalized group.
Right.
So they're all going to go, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't see anything but excitement for the whole thing. They'd be like, wow, I'm really impressed. And wow, I'm stupid that I didn't know this. And God, you guys are really good. Because like I said, from the outside, they're not them. They know that they look different than any alliance that they've had on Big Brother. They know that they'd stick out as a group if they were always together. So they have to go in and they're pretending that they're not together because they're actually never together in the space. Right. Which is brilliant. Well, really hard to do.
We've said it before, and I think it bears repeating that this season the casting has been so diverse and so wonderful that we had not only the people of color, but you had people of different sexual orientations. Not just one, not just a token person represent an entire group. You had multiples. You have someone who's neurodivergent, right? So you have that spectrum. You have really so well diverse this year.
Yeah, obviously there's the silly phrases like refreshing. Yeah, it is refreshing, but you know what it is? It's like about damn time because all kinds of people with all kinds of background like to have fun and see people like them having fun and not be like, oh, there's this one person that looks like me in this house. And everyone's like going, ugh, get him out, get him out, get him out. And then they got to put on the face of it's not because they're that way. But how do you not feel that it's that way?
A couple seasons ago with David being the first one. Remember that one a couple years ago when David went out first and that one right away, the people that he put up on the block right away were the people of color. And it was like,
where you had that happen, you had the not. Well, it was the have not room, but what did they call it? It was like they kicked everybody out room. They had to stay in the house. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the four of them in that room, and I was like, "This is
BB camp or something they called it."
Right? Yeah, Camp BB, where they make the BB bucks. The Big Brother backwards. That's Big Brother backwards.
It doesn't matter who makes the final two. I think this will be a a memorable season regardless, because I think it's just
and that's just it. I mean, there are plenty of people out there that have really negative things to say. They say this is the most boring season ever.
They missed all the bro dudes.
Right. And you know what? No, I'm gonna tell you, even Christian, David, did you check out any of Christian's tweets since he's come back?
He still
to the
doesn't have
Twitterverse?
substance. I'm sorry. He's trying really hard.
But you know what though? He's not as bad as some of the bro dudes have been on the show in previous seasons.
For sure.
I get that he kind of is in that ilk, but it's not so in your face like some of them have been.
Well, I don't have it. I'll paraphrase, but he had somebody say something pretty nasty on his Twitter about the Cookout Alliance, and he was like, okay, I'm going to put this out there just one time, and from here on out, it's just I'm going to immediately erase you. I'm going to block you, and I'm not going to say anything. He's like, the fact that there is an alliance of color in this house is not racist. It's brilliant. It is about time that this has happened, that Big Brother has given people enough with enough variety that they can come together and have that option to create an alliance. He said, these people are some of the most loyal, most amazing people I've ever met in my life, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Even Cody from a few years ago, who's Cody and Jessica, crickets, like anytime he was just like dead faced,
Right.
Cody,
he was like he's Manchurian candidate, and he's second, he was going to get activated, right?
Right. And Cody is like known for saying some pretty stuff. And he is straight away, he's like, there's no way in hell that this is a racist adaptation of an alliance. He's like, if there was 4 other Marines in that house than I was in there, that's absolutely who I would have been in an alliance with.
Yeah. So
he's like, they're playing so smart. Mm-hmm. And so I love seeing that we've got some alumni that, may have some unsavory thought processes, but I do like seeing that they're coming together to have their back and see the brilliance of this whole situation.
But it is tough to see like Derek X on the outside of that.
It's so hard
because he kind of should be in it, right? And it,
I can see that.
And I hope that's a question that comes up from jury. Whether,
but see, you remember at the beginning, Hannah wasn't even technically in it.
Right. And all of a sudden, wait a minute.
But they kind of pulled her in. But and I think it makes it all that much harder is that Derek X is just so a lovable person. Yeah. Like how if anybody told me like that they just can't stand that guy, like I'd immediately know that I don't want to talk to that person ever again.
That's it. You're blocked.
Yep, I'm done. You can't even you can just say I don't like him at all and be like, that's all I need to know. Bye.
I don't even know who you are.
That's where we draw the line. So how did you guys feel about Brittany's goodbye? She rapped. Yep. It happened again. But
I was so ready for her to go home this week. And it's not because I dislike her. I just couldn't take the way she cries and everything about herself.
The slow motion torture that she had by sitting on that dang thing every week. Yeah.
Well, and then she sits there and cries because she's bullied and she's on the block. And then she goes out to Julie and goes, "Oh, I get it. It's just a game."
Right.
Well, no, you made it very personal. And,
do you feel like it's a compliment that they were threatened by you? Oh yeah, it's a compliment. No, it's not.
Okay. Well, on one hand, okay, yeah, it's sort of hilarious and annoying all at the same time. And the moaning Myrtle thing is really pretty funny. I mean, I'm not above a snarky joke, but also it would really suck if every single week you were put on that block because it would be bad for your confidence.
But it's happened to other people
too. If you watch the game, if you've watched seasons before and you're that person who's getting put up every week, you have to go and look in the mirror and say, why is this happening? Yeah. And it is not happening for the reason that you think it's happening. Okay. Right. You need to get in there.
I think that at the second round that she was maybe the second or third time, that she was put on the block. You don't cry, and you campaign like hell. You campaign so much to stay that everyone's like, I am not putting up with that again. She's not going to be the pawn.
Instead of the
that
crying,
was too risky. You got to be smart enough to get people to. You want to flip the vote? Do something that makes them go, okay, like. That's just not worth it.
If that doesn't work the second time, then on the third time you're up, you do something different again. Like you keep it. But she had the same strategy every time. Just
it's like they always tell you, it's like what they tell you in self-defense class, like never go to a second location. Like roll on the ground, eat dirt, pee your pants, do whatever that you have to do so they don't pull you up there and put you on the block.
Right.
None of it.
Break your leg if you have to. Whatever. Do
whatever you gotta do.
Well, we haven't seen anyone who
rap constantly. I bet you if she would have rapped the entire week, they'd have been like, never again. It was cute once, but not all week.
And we haven't seen the person who knows they're going home go all incendiary and start making stuff up, and because sometimes that happens, right?
They get like they're like, well, I'm going to blow this house up.
I'm going to tell you everything I know.
But then
that's because they don't know anything.
They don't know what's
the problem.
Well,
because they're being duped so well. But also, here's another thing. Brittany, again, clearly wasn't blindsided. At some point in the last 24 hours, I didn't see it. I haven't seen it on the feeds or any updates, but the feeds go off pretty much all day for eviction night. Somebody had to have told her that because this is not the yelling, hollering, reactive Brittany that we see after a veto, after 6 vetoes. We don't. She's like, oh, okay, bye. No, I truly, truly think that there was a lot of conversation with her about how, like, I can't. She even said it to Julie, like, you're just too big of a threat. You're too big of a threat. I would never win against you, because all of them felt really bad, but
They didn't tell her that the other week. So yeah, that would be very indicative this week that all of a sudden they're all saying that to you before the vote.
Right.
You start to go, oh, okay, yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
You could tell she knew.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I mean, is there anybody that she could have been in a final 2 with and won against, do you think? I can't think of anybody.
Azah.
Big D.
You think so?
Azah hasn't done anything, has she?
No, not really.
No.
I mean,
she just looks drop dead gorgeous and occasionally does some like really, really dramatic acting that's funny, but like, no.
She did the fake crying thing, which I really liked.
That was
amazing.
Weeks ago. I want that Azah back, right?
Yeah. What happened?
That was so smart. Yeah, I think some of them are not looking big picture anymore. They've gotten so into the game that they all need to kind of step, and look around.
There's some stress, like they can feel those walls closing in on their 6, and so right now it's really like everyone's just trying to be like, the 3 that aren't in the 6 are like the worst people that ever walked the earth. So like that's kind of the attitude they have to throw at each other, because they're truly all like sitting there like crying and getting all quiet for like 4 hours at a time, just staring at a wall, because they're processing the fact that like, man, this is really hard because I'm playing this game, and until there's just the 6 of us, I can't play for me. And I love Claire. Tiffany downplays it a little bit in her,
Oh no, it's
diary
obvious.
stuff.
That's the girl.
But she loves her.
Yeah.
But she also loves Hannah. And I know as soon as Claire's gone, Tiffany would go directly to Hannah, and I could see her and Hannah making a final 2. So I don't know. We'll see. They got to get down to the 6, so we got to get through a triple eviction and some weird twist, prize with this.
Well, depending on who goes home first, Claire or Derek, Claire or Derek X, maybe that'll push those 2 together, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think
the Hannah,
for sure.
Tiffany thing. So.
Well, and Hannah and Tiffany, they don't get a lot of screen time. There's no really need for it in the storylines that we're getting, but they do spend a lot of time together doing each other's hair, kind of like running through things, because Hannah doesn't want to stab Derek X in the back, but she's business. She's like, got to do what I got to do. This is a game. This is how we do it. Tiffany's the same way. This is a game. And then they get all like, yep, we got to do this. We got to be tough. And then they're like, oh man, I'm not looking forward to this though.
No, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
It's going to
That's
suck,
gonna
but
be really
that's
hard.
what I think when they say we're not going to put anything in our goodbye messages. That's when I think I would totally tell them I'm not, because we're all making a group pact not to do it.
Right.
But I totally would be doing it.
But Tiffany's still
Right.
playing a bit of an individual game, because getting Kylan to take Claire down benefited nobody but her.
Yes.
Right.
Because Brittany
Yeah.
was a threat to no one, right? She would have gone along like a good little lemming and gotten kicked out in a couple weeks, right?
Okay,
Claire
yes,
could possibly sniff
definitely.
this out and explode everything.
Definitely yes on one hand, but on the other hand, this is where Tiffany is really good at this, because you're right. Brittany doesn't really form any major threat to anybody in theory, but she found the one spot she does form a threat, and that threat is that the allegiance to the Alliance was falling apart because their loyalty was to her and not to the Alliance.
For Ozzy and Big D. Yes.
Yes.
And when you're a group of 6 and 2 of those 6 are really close with this other person out there, you're like, no.
Right,
So-
but the other
so
people
in
didn't
theory, it's
realize
not-
that benefited her game, or didn't care, one of the two.
I don't think
They didn't realize.
But Claire is absolutely a bigger threat to
She is,
the
yeah.
Alliance, to the
But there's only
cookout.
one person in the cookout
If-
that's aligned with her.
If she survives the week
That's why.
and goes into HOH and triple eviction, she could do some real damage.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kai picked how he had it originally set up with Claire, and Claire should have been his number one target, period. If
Yep.
he knew what was happening in the game, like from our perspective, that should have been his number one target. He had it sitting there. And add that to the fact that he didn't have a good week socially. He replaced the wrong person. He ticked off the wrong people. He annoyed the wrong people. Now Sarah Beth has got the HOH, and that might be the only thing that saved him to go up to triple eviction. I mean, as far as like without any serious damage tagged on him, because otherwise I could have. Tiffany is a big threat to them, but I think that Kai, in their mind, Kai is almost a little bit bigger of a threat because everybody loves Kai.
So are we thinking that triple eviction is going to be that 2 hours on September 16th?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they're saying on the
Yeah.
Twitter.
That's so close to finale though too, isn't it?
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
hoping-
that's what they're saying on the Twitter.
I'm hoping,
Just in case you're missing it.
I'm hoping it's not the night.
Yeah, I did this
2
week.
hours
for
for
sure.
the other people on the show.
what do you have that night? What do you
For
have
me?
that night, JP? Yeah.
I said I hope it's not the 2-hour episode where they just sit around and remember.
Oh,
Oh God.
They
That's
didn't. They haven't been doing that the last 2 seasons. They haven't done that. Did they, like the Big Brother breakfast thing?
Well, they
The
did that
congrats-
Oh,
That's-
like they do with Survivor with the torches. That's the
Yeah,
worst.
no, they didn't. Last season they didn't do it because we know everybody.
True.
so they're going to do the triple eviction when it's down to 7. If I'm counting the weeks correctly here, I'm trying to count here. Wait, so it'll be 3 at final, right, for the 29th. The week before that will be 1 more, so 4 on
Well,
the
we're at 10 now, right?
So we'd have what?
5.
No, I don't work with numbers.
This is the math portion of the show that we always fail at.
I was going to be the Lord of Math this week, but then I realized Call Outs Are Bad TV was a better name.
Call outs are bad TV.
I didn't know JP was going to be on, or I would have stole the Stephen C name.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, what JP said.
Stephen C is my friend.
So I'm just wondering, there's not going to be many left for that triple if they can.
No, that's why there's this all this tizzy about, like, seriously, a triple now, because it used to do it before jury and then at jury we would have like our doubles, and then they just decided to mush them all together in a triple. And then they have these twists, so they have to make time for the twist, and then they push all of this. And I don't like the way that this format is. Like, we're going to put the twists in and then follow it with a triple eviction, but it's kind of at the like most interesting part of the game. I feel like the way that JP, maybe you'll remember, but the way that they used to do it, it seems like these twists didn't happen. Like, the twists of the game didn't actually happen until jury.
Yep.
and that if there was a double eviction, it was pre-jury, because it kind of led us into jury. I feel like,
right?
Yeah, like 16 to 10, they spend an awful lot of weeks on characters you haven't formed any bond with and don't really care about.
Because there's just so many of them.
Right.
I always felt like double eviction was jury, but like the second or third week into jury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because it would to do it before jury, you really just don't care about those people.
Well, and it's really hard because Big Brother has had a history over the last 8-ish years that they introduce these twists, and these twists are not. They don't change the gameplay. Basically, anything post Brigade, like the Brigade kind of broke the formula. Like they solved the formula of the game, and so they started putting all of these twists in afterwards to kind of try to change that format, I think. But the twists are always really stupid, and they're either like people will say, no, I'm not going to play that, or they do nothing to change the game that's already. Once there's that alliance and they have the numbers over everybody else and they really truly are loyal to each other, there's nothing else to write. There's just not.
Right. Well, I mean, these shows do that. I mean, Survivor has 37 idols, and it's like, it's not fun to watch anymore. It's like, I have an idol. I'm playing an idol. I'm playing an idol. Well, okay, only 2 people don't have an idol when they make fire, I guess.
I have different idols to your one idol.
Yeah.
I'm going to erase your idol with my idol eraser.
Right, negate your idol.
Again, it's another Captain Planet reference in the making, telling you it worked for everything.
Do we know what week we're going to get Zingbot? Because that's my favorite episode every year.
I know. And then how are they good at Zingbot? These
oh no, they got to save Zingbot.
Tiffany,
if the cookout makes it to 6, that's the week they do it.
Tiffany, Big D, and Azah, I could kind of in my head start stirring around what the Zingbot slams will likely be, but like, how are they gonna like really burn Derek X? Like, how would that even happen? How could they? What is there?
There's a Hannah joke there somewhere.
Like you're really tall and Hannah doesn't love you.
Or like a pretty boy reference or something like that. Of like, I don't know.
Fun news about Derek X and his fashion. So his paint splatter hoodie that he wears is an Abercrombie hoodie, and apparently they cannot keep it in stock right now. He's so loved. They love him. They love him.
Yeah, I think he's got a modeling career. Sorry.
Yeah, he'll be getting $100.
Yeah, sorry, Xavier.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what this week will bring. I don't know what Sarah, but it's funny because like there's nobody that I really don't necessarily. I mean, I have people I'm going to root for more than other people, but there's no one that I'm like just about that's left. It was fun with HOH getting to kind of root for everybody. Because I don't know. Either you have the skill of balance or you do not. And was anybody like impressed with Big D's like shuffle across those tiny balance beams? He's got more balance than I do.
He did really well till he got to the last one, and then he like slowed down for whatever the reason.
Right? He was hauling. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get it. And then it's gonna be I can't say
I felt bad for Alyssa though, because I thought she made it.
Alyssa felt bad for Alyssa. That poor girl.
My daughter was watching with me. Why? What? Okay, so I think it was when Xavier was doing his. For like a split second or so, they went to the fish.
That's probably because Hannah probably yelled an F-bomb or somebody did. Because they're
she goes,
yeah, they're on a couple seconds, a couple seconds ahead.
Right. But it was like just really quick. And she's like, what happened there? Why would they do that? And I'm like, what could have happened? I mean, so
but it's really, yeah, my son was like, what? He's like, what? Did I just see fish? Like, what?
Yeah. Like, why did they show fish for a second?
And then I explained, well, somebody probably swore. It probably Hannah.
Competition, it's easier to cut the mic.
Why wouldn't they just drop the audio?
Well, let us see what's going on.
I know that's the logical thing. Just drop the audio. But then my son's like, so hold on. You mean they have a camera pointed at the fish the entire time,
Right, it's a
just
live
in
fish.
case?
No, it's
And I said, yes, Desmond, they have a camera pointed on these people the entire time. I think they can have a camera sitting next to an aquarium.
it doesn't have to be live fish, though. It could just be a
My
little.
guess is the guy panicked and he just hit it, and that's what came up.
They used to have fish all the time. Like they in that HOH room, you would always see there was some elaborate aquarium set up
Right.
with different species of fish every year. And those were the fish that you would always see, like when feeds would go down during a competition or a veto meeting, you'd always say, oh, they're showing fishes. But now they have like adoptable puppies and kitties on there, which is, fun for half a second.
I love puppies and kitties.
Yeah, who
I like
doesn't?
puppies.
I like kitties.
I like
I don't
them
like
all.
kitties at all.
Well,
Kitties could all go live with
If
Steven
other
Seagal
kitties,
for all I care.
they can all go live with Christy.
They can come live with me. I'll take them all.
Steven probably like kitties.
Before the fish, though, when the first seasons of Big
He's
Brother,
got plenty of room in that
They
fine
had-
apartment.
they had actual hamsters. Remember that?
Oh, the hamsters, which is where we got certain titles for certain feed watchers.
Yes.
I mean, and I don't know why they went from hamsters to fish. I guess probably fish were easier to maintain.
Yeah, because I mean, like you really do kind of have to rely on the house guests to keep
Right.
the animals.
And they're
fed
like,
and
I'm not cleaning these cages, but don't you remember that was like that first season? At least first, it was like they had as many hamsters as they did house guests.
Well, now with they don't have the fish like in the HOH room anymore, and I'm not entirely sure why they stopped doing that, other than they just didn't feel like they had to.
They've had the aquarium downstairs before, also. So
Right. There's a lot of things. I was thinking about this today. The things that were really commonplace in Big Brother for years that they've kind of phased out is something as simple as the fishes, but like the food, the have-not competition isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, the emphasis on slop. I don't even know why they bother, because they never show it bothering anyone.
And it's so funny because it's like, well, it's really what people get a little bit cranky because they're hungry. But other than that, what does it serve in the gameplay? It has.
Well, and if you were a casual fan who just started watching, you wouldn't even understand. They're on slop. They don't explain it.
Yeah.
They're they don't show it.
Yeah.
And then the have-not rooms, they make a point of showing us the have-not room, but they never show us the footage of somebody suffering through having to sleep in the have-not room.
They used to.
Yeah, that's how we got the entire Dan Giesling funerals, because he spent 24 hours in the have-not room. Like he got locked in for 24 hours. And that's when they had like the big, like constantly moving spiral, like the hypnotist spiral going on in there and stuff. So, and that's another thing too, like with this eviction, the triple eviction, where they're setting the triple eviction up, like that same week that we're getting the triple eviction is the same week as Dan Giesling's funeral. Like this is where people are like, we have to pull all the stops. Like this is because it's that last little stretch. Everyone's like, okay, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm just going to go for it and do crazy stuff to get to it.
So if the triple eviction happens when there's still 7, because that's why I just did my math. I think that's right. If it's at 7, it's going to be the 6 of the cookout, because that's what we're assuming.
Right.
I don't think they're going to break either. If they broke, they would be so vilified.
Well, if it's 7, by definition, somebody from the cookout, 2 people from the cookout are going.
They're going to go, but we're going to miss all of that.
But before the week before, it's going to be really important to see who's there, because then they could, like, who has their outside person, right? Because if it's a Derek X, maybe Derek and Tiffany and Hannah get together, and if one of them wins, they could, you know what I mean?
I think Derek X probably has the best likelihood of still being in the game at that point.
And it
would, they're going to get him if they can.
Well, but technically, it would still be.
But here's the thing: everybody keeps going, I don't want to have to get him out. Right. This is going to be your job. You have to get him out. And then they're like, oh, okay.
If you go to the next person, like, you got a chance of losing.
Absolutely. Yeah. But will they realize that they're at the point where they need to do that? Because it's just going to be 7 still. So they're going to think, oh, we can get him out next week. We'll be fine because there's 6 of us.
I don't think if they don't, what am I trying to say? If they don't start to flip like right now, they're going to just stick together. And then whoever's on the bottom is just gonna go out.
Okay, and look at this too.
That's what I was saying earlier. They have to flip now to have it matter.
Yeah, exactly.
The people that kind of formulated this sort of gameplay, who first used it, was the Brigade, and Matt actually kind of is the one who came up with the formula to use. There was 4 of them at the end, but they got rid of Matt. He was the first one to go. They still had Brittany, so like they had their one extra basically stayed longer than the person who formed them.
Because sometimes you gotta have that pivot person. You know what I mean?
Right, because he was the biggest threat to them in the game because he was smart enough to create everything. They're like, oh no, like we can't like let him get into the end with the credit of forming this.
So at that point, we understand that Kylan and Tiffany are on the bottom, but as a whole, as a group, do they all look at Xavier and go, no, he's the one that has to go?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's super likable. There's not a single person who doesn't like him.
It depends.
And
it depends if Tiffany's still there. If Tiffany's still there, I mean, people will be like, ooh, Tiffany too, But I think if Tiffany's still there, all eyes are going to be on getting Xavier out. But if she's gone, I don't know. I don't know because he's just he chills, man. He doesn't throw in any controversy. He just.
Yeah.
Has he made anybody mad the entire show?
Biggest threat.
No.
He's the
maybe Whitney a little bit because he was all like, "Nah, girl." But other than that, no, he really hasn't.
They don't have penicillin here in the Big Brother house.
He's like, "Nah, girl."
Blizzard out loud.
Nah, girl. So I don't know. I don't like the triple. It would have been okay if it's a double. If it was a double, it'd have been like, all right.
Well, even if they did 2 doubles, but like some weeks apart. Like
exactly.
with the buffer week.
Like a double this week would have been cool.
Like do a double, then have a buffer week, and then do another double or something like that. You know?
I mean, if you really wanted to get some storylines stirring, this would have been a good week for a double because
could you imagine now Sarah Beth wins and instantly she's got to make her decision and no time to strategize.
Right, we don't have Kai in her ear for long.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's still enough numbers on that end, even if they don't recognize that they need those numbers on that end.
Right.
That they could possibly accidentally make the absolute best move to like completely flip it. But it's not going to happen. So no focusing on that.
All right. Well, you know what? What you're saying is there's still a chance. There's still a chance. The Big Brother gods, somebody that they're the worst case scenario, the one they don't want to win wins veto. You never know. And this is the predicament
that every Big Brother fan finds themselves in. Right. There's this chance. There's just this chance. Oh, it didn't happen. Of course it wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. And then next year, oh, wait, there's this chance.
It could happen.
Next year is going to be the year of the female alliance. It's just going to happen. So, anyway.
Maybe so.
I'm going to manifest it, okay? It's going to happen.
Put it out there. Put it into the universe.
Right. There won't be another alliance like this for years because everyone will look for it after this.
Yeah, they will. That's exactly it. They're going to have to reformat a lot of the game if they want that to happen again. It's just how it is.
Might not be a season 24.
But here's the thing.
And on a high note.
To say that there can't be another alliance like this, another alliance of a group of people who have some commonality, that's happened for many years. Where not
the commonality, the commonality, because clearly that's going to happen naturally, no matter what. We tend to do this.
We've had the cis white males who are the bro dudes as an alliance running the whole show, running the whole game. I mean, we've seen that too.
I think so, but see, I think that it depends on who the next group of cast members are. Sure. Are we going to get gold like this again anytime soon? Likely not.
Or they're so good that nobody suspects.
I don't know. You guys are pretty on it with their whole nobody in the room all at once.
Right. And I love it too. I love the fact that the people with the best intuition in the entire game, like intuition, not like strategy, gameplay, like intuition, is Derek X and Claire.
And they saw it and they blew it off.
But I don't know because we don't know what they're really thinking in their head. And we don't know if they're really being completely
when
with each other. You know,
you're right. When Claire,
maybe they'd be afraid of that. They wouldn't want to come across as having an offensive idea about it. Like,
so that you kind of like tiptoe on the idea.
So basically, what Xavier said when he was like, "They ain't gonna say anything." They're not gonna say anything.
When Claire was talking to Derek X after Xavier and Kylan tried to get him to throw the HOH, she was like, "Oh no!"
Right.
You know, she was like, she definitely sensed something was going on.
So
okay,
wait, hold on.
Claire.
Do you think that if Claire ends up going and she gets into that jury house, I don't think that she would be because she's such a sport of the game, but she could get a little bit salty about Tiffany if she feels like she was betrayed. Do you think?
Oh, I think that's real possible.
I mean, like excited as a whole, as a game, as a fan of the game, that this alliance exists, all of that, but be like, you seriously, you lied to me like this whole time.
But there's still going to be this. I never had a chance because of how I look.
Well,
that's going to sting no matter who you are. Just like it stung the other way.
Definitely could go back at pretty much almost every cast member that has been on the show before, and there might be some version of that. I even think some of the early people to leave on this season would maybe have some version of that. But I think everybody from Whitney on, they wouldn't care. They'd be like, I can't believe I was part of this season. This is awesome. So, but because the fact that we keep saying this cast is so awesome, this cast is so awesome, it is the diversity, but it's actually the human beings are like really well-rounded people, except Frenchie. And maybe a little bit Whitney. Like I think Whitney's had a little edge.
Only because he lost his mind for a little bit. That could have been temporary.
Yeah, no, I watch his. No, he's
and Christian. I'm sorry that somebody wrote that tweet for him.
I think
he doesn't have that depth of thought.
You want to know what I think? I think Christian actually is a very kind person, but I think
I didn't say he wasn't kind.
I'd be like, you're kind of a big dumb animal, aren't you? But
yes, that's what I'm saying. And he didn't write what. And I read what you talked about on Twitter, and he didn't write that.
He could,
he had a publicist or a friend or somebody who knew what they were doing.
His mom
very well articulated. Yes. But if those were his actual thoughts, his sentiment, then
he would have said "dude" at least once or something.
Bruh.
Girl.
Yeah.
What? Oh, bless him.
So I wonder when Claire and Derek are sitting there, because we're surprised when Claire and Derek are sitting there, if they think that if he's the one that says, "Oh wait, are there any more white guys like that?"
Right.
And Claire's like, "I wanted to say that, but is she in her mind going, but you're not a white guy. Why wouldn't she think that he would be in that?"
I think there's a different. I don't know. Maybe there's different.
I mean, that's why I can't see him not saying that. His faux showmance won't go along with any of his ideas.
Know. My paranoia. If I was Claire, my paranoia would be like.
I mean, that to me is a big clue. I'm spending all my time with this gal, and every time I throw something out, she says no.
Yeah, because she does. That's not an edit thing. She's always like.
No, I hear you, but that should be a big clue to something's going on in the game you're not seeing.
But then we have so many people in the house that are doing that same thing right now, but with like opposite purpose. Like Big D all week, he's on the block and he's supposed to be like campaigning against Brittany, and Brittany's supposed to that whole song and dance. But
she was writing her rap.
But Big D didn't campaign at all. Like, this is his campaign. Y'all don't get rid of me because, like, we can't chill.
And I clean the house.
I'm not here.
You're the other people in the house putting the pieces together.
This was literally like how it was all week. But it was really funny. There's a couple of really good times when he was talking to Azah, and she's like, okay. So what are you going to offer me if I keep you? So there's some thought that production's like, you gotta go and, maybe campaign so we can see that you care what you're doing.
But if you're the other people and you don't see him campaigning, doesn't that then throw us
exactly?
Well, it should. And how does Derek X and Claire not pick up on that in a heartbeat?
Right?
This guy knows he's not going anywhere.
Why is he not campaigning at all? Brittany's over there bawling her eyes out. He's not even upset.
Right. And they know they're getting rid of Brittany. They know that that's the target, but Big D should be nervous still. Like anybody goes up as a pawn, they should be nervous. So
pawns go home. It's as old as
all
Big
the
Brother.
time.
Well, you never know when you might be the first one your alliance decides to get out of the alliance. You could,
Right. But he was showing nothing. But it was really funny, because Oz was like, okay, I want you to do like this and this. You got to promise me this. And he was all like, nah, girl. And she's like, okay. So they were like making deals back with just playing, like just pretending. But it was pretty funny. But then that's the most involved he got campaigning, was joking with her about it. And then telling everyone else, like, I mean, like, we can't hang out. You'll miss out on all this.
So he's totally a floater, huh?
Big time. Yeah, for real. Yes, he is. He's definitely the floater in the game. That's why I was kind of excited when I saw him hauling butt tonight on that balance beam, because I was like, if he gets this, he's gonna be forced to play.
I think
he's not the only floater. There's 3 in the cookout.
Right. There are others, but he's not really playing.
Yeah.
He's too comfortable.
Somebody,
because
I
he knows he's going to make 6. So,
right.
Well, and he's just like, I'll just hang out. And I don't remember who had said it, but they, basically said he says the most and does the least. Like he's the guy. But everyone knows, get him to the end. Get him to the end. He's the easy number 2 in there. So.
Yep. See, Jessica agrees.
Jessica agrees.
Tough stuff. Big D cares not at all. He's like, whatever. Do you think that everyone's going to cry for like 6 hours when they finally do have to get rid of Derek X? Or do you think they're going to like cry and then immediately go into like celebration that they did it? Because that's going to hurt them all. It's going to, except for maybe Xavier. It's not going to hurt him.
He has feelings.
He sends people to jail for a living. Come on.
He's like, whatever. You just got to do what you got to do. It's about getting to the end and winning this.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a little bit sad for Brittany. I mean, even if she was being silly and thinking that she was a massive threat, I was just like, I could totally see that you probably are a really fun kindergarten teacher.
Sure. I
would be like super okay. If she was my kid's kindergarten teacher, I'd be like, they had the best kindergarten teacher.
I was even okay with the crying. I could not handle it when she starts saying she's being bullied.
Bullied, right.
That was the part where, no, it's a bridge too far. I'm sorry, Brittany. You are not being bullied. Do not throw. Do not throw.
Yeah, especially when everybody was like very, very respectful of, I mean, like you have to go up and be a pawn and that really stinks.
But it's just one of those things like, oh, you're putting me on the block because you're bullying me. No.
Well, she got real touchy about the way like Kyland was kind of handling it, because she's like, he said, the whole pawn situation. And then like, she was like, okay, well, like I need a campaign for myself. And I don't know, he was uncomfortable with talking to her because he doesn't do well in that, like at all. And I think that's a really big part of his,
like,
I'm not going to tell you my plan. I'm not going to tell you my plan. Right. It's not because he's trying to control that situation. It's because he has no ever loving idea how to tell a convincing lie. He can't do it.
Yeah, maybe not.
And when he tries to like step away from the lie, I think that actually comes out worse than a bad lie would. I mean, you've seen him try to throw a competition. When we watched the OTEV, he just stood there staring at that thing for like 3 hours. All he would have had to do to be a convincing throw is just grab the wrong thing and run up with the wrong answer.
Or how many people have sat there with the right answer and put it under a rock or something,
Right.
And acted like they didn't find it.
Going up the hill or fake a leg injury.
Right.
Something, anything. And not just standing
like a professional soccer player. You roll around with your knee,
I would
and then suddenly get up and sprint.
literally no way I'd be getting up that rope. I would just be like, I'm done. Just forget it.
And you know what? This was another really great moment to be able to kind of emphasize the type of people that are in this house right now. Everybody like rooted everybody on. Everyone waited until that person, even though they waited, they did anything they could to sit there and wait that person to get up the rope.
Even though they knew that person was, they were done.
Right.
Probably.
They really do encourage each other. Yeah, they super encourage each other. And I was like, you know what? Those participation trophies are starting to pay off, aren't they? It looks like these people are turning into well-rounded, kind humans.
Okay, question.
Or maybe they just want to curry favor on the jury.
This has never happened, but could someone in the OTEV challenge, could someone go up, they want to throw it, or they want something specific to win the veto. Could they go up and take a spot, wait for that person to come up and get their spot?
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, if we only had a way to talk to somebody who was on the show.
If only there was a way.
But
this is where a grand entrance is supposed to happen.
But then I guess if they pulled themselves off, you'd be the one going up because you let them win, right?
My answer to that would be, I mean, look, I know Kylan was trying to throw it, and it was very obvious.
It was.
If you do what you're describing, that's really obvious.
Here. It's like the only thing close to that is Azah like throwing the thing like from a mile away.
That was funny.
Like 6 foot by like over here.
So, Jessica says you go with the wrong answer. See, so you go up there with the wrong answer.
Jessica, Big Brother, you know what you're doing.
Sure, that's a great way, but you're trying to lock in because you want to help the other person win. So can you? So let's say you're on the block and it was a situation like this week. They were saying if Brittany won, she could take Big D off and she couldn't be the nomination because she won the veto, right? But so they're saving 2 with 1, right? So that's what you'd want. You would be on the block and you would want your best alliance member to win it so that they could take you off and they would also be saved. That would be like, throw it to
that would be the line you'd want it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like one could... There's probably a few different ways in a game like OTEV where it's sort of chaotic, and there's no since they have these puddles of whatever the theme is that year, everything's buried in under puddles. That's like really the perfect game to kind of hand it over to somebody that you're working toward, because it's just so much going on.
But if you're already on the block and you're just trying to keep other people safe, so they can be your replacement, right? I think it's already out there. People would already know. So whether you're helping each other or not, I don't know that it would really put a bigger
target on. That doesn't necessarily matter. It's just if you're trying to quietly create that. If you have an alliance you're trying to keep secret.
Putting it out there to the universe, somebody's going to do it some year.
I don't know. We should ask Rockstar. She knows all about throwing the veto away for OTEV. Poor Rockstar. That sucked so bad.
Did you see what she put about Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
She said, my Instagram followers have been stable. I posted 3 bikini pictures and lost 168 followers.
She's a hoot. She cracked me up.
She's the best.
Big Nish is asking, who do we think's gonna win the season now? We picked Kylan before the season started, up to last week, but now he's not. So
maybe he's still gonna go with Frenchie.
No, you can't pick Frenchie.
Frenchie really win. If the cards are played right, I could easily see Xavier in the final 2. Xavier's there in the final 2.
Really?
Yeah, no question.
I think right now it's his game to lose, honestly.
Yeah.
But the other one's hard because the other one, I can't make up my mind who I'd pick for another 2 until after I see who Sarah Beth puts up.
It's really hard right now to pick. Mm-hmm. I just think Xavier's going to go out before then because I think people are going to start realizing they have to get rid of him. I think he's going to be one of those who goes at 4 because they can't the final 3.
If Xavier or Kylan make the mistake This isn't in the name of the alliance that they formed, but for their own game. If they make the mistake of convincing Sarah Beth to get rid of Derek X, they both lost 50% of their chance of making it to the end. They need to have him there to. They maybe at the end of like a triple eviction or something, they could get rid of him then, maybe. But it's a tough one.
Xavier might be a great person.
They held on to him too long, to be honest with you. They held on to him too long.
I'm going to go with Hannah and Big D.
Yeah? It's a JP pick.
You just like saying Big D, don't you? There,
yes.
I don't hear it enough every day of my life.
Who's going to get all that money now that Brittany's not there? Who do you think the fans are going to pass that out for? Azah?
Derek X.
Claire.
Derek X.
He deserves it at least.
Derek X, Claire.
I can now reveal I sent all my votes to Azah.
Did ya?
I did. All 10.
It's like
someone has a crush.
No, because she really needs something.
Xavier could be a really good person for them to take a shot at for the triple eviction night. Because
what about this? What if they had Xavier at the end against Azah? Azah would be an okay one to take at the end. She would not have there's no way she would have a convincing enough resume.
He would take her or Derek F if he could.
He wins.
He wins either one.
Yeah.
For sure. But then he'd also have the added luxury.
He doesn't want to be against Tiffany, and he doesn't want to be against Kyland.
This is why I think he won't make it to the end, because they're all going to know this, and they're going to see.
But they all want to do the same. They all want to be with the same three people.
Okay, can I be totally realistic though? We got to look at who do we have in the cookout. Now, this may not say the nicest thing about how easy they would be to drag along, but all that handsome man has to do is blink his eyes at Big D and Azah. And they will not get rid of him. They will not get rid of him.
But if there's enough other people, it won't matter.
Flirt a little more with Azah. She's going to be loyal to him. Same with Big D. They're easy.
At some point, you got to put two people up. Sometimes it's just maybe Azah's sitting there with them, or Big D's sitting right there with them. They can't leave him. You just never
know. So okay.
He's already said that you bring Big D to the end, he's not winning. So
right, yeah, they all know it. They've all discussed this. They know that.
But he's not alone. It's Azah too and Hannah. So you want to take one of those three people.
I want to see Tiffany start winning some competitions.
Tiffany still beats all three of them. Because she's played a smarter game.
Yeah,
but if Tiffany doesn't win a competition, she can't go against somebody who's won competitions and stayed in the game this long.
No, but she can beat the three people I just mentioned. She can beat.
But she does. Christy's right. She has got to win she has to have one competition. Has she won anything?
She hasn't had to yet. But this is the point when you have to start doing something.
The Kai and Big D smooch was adorable. I loved it. Yay! I'm so I'm so beaming with pride, and they have nothing to do with these people whatsoever. I can't really take anything, but I'm just so the world that we live in now, when we see what is the true representation of people on television today versus 20 years ago. There's so much to this. I have so much love and dedication for these silly people, because I want to see every single one of them win. Even Big D, who I'm just oh my God, because there's something about him that I can see why they keep him around. He's got something to him that is.
He's not horrible.
He's a frustrating.
I think he's kind of funny and.
Yeah, there's nothing. Would he be my best friend in the house? Probably not, but he's not horrible. And this year there wasn't anybody who was just horrible.
Right. Really.
Christian was horrible. Horrible. From week one, I don't understand why he was allowed to stay even for a week.
Because he really wasn't that horrible.
He was that horrible.
Because he let him put makeup on.
I loved him from week one. I've been consistent on this point.
Like I will not be swayed.
Maybe they just need someone.
Just because some publicist wrote a nice tweet.
So what we really need to have happen is a special guest episode that stars Rachel and Christian.
I don't loathe Rachel.
This is what I want.
She just gets on my nerves.
I want a 2-hour Sunday recap episode that is hosted by Rachel Riley and Christian, and all they do is shout outs for the entire first 45 minutes.
But Rachel would only be doing shout outs to her husband.
I'm working on it.
Yes.
Rachel read my message.
Did she?
She asked.
We love you, Rachel.
She said,
Rachel.
Will Dave Gott be there?
I'm sure that's what she said.
Yep. She knows you.
I'm sure.
My first and last.
She just blocked me and she's crying now. She's crying.
JP, why is that true of all the women in your life?
Why you always gotta be bullying everyone? Bullying everyone, David. Woo!
That was fun right there.
That was fun right there.
It's like Stephen C. made me cry when he canceled the contract.
Oh, that man. Certainly no Christian, that's for sure.
Oh, he probably did a nice tweet about it afterwards, about how he just couldn't give up his home. It was the place he had all of his memories of his mom or something.
They always say,
really rooting for you.
The right thing happens at the right time when it's meant to be. That's going to be something even better for you.
There you go. He's going to end up on Survivor. Mark my words. That boy's going to be on Survivor.
Like JP's trying really.
I think he's going to be on Love Island, but
what?
You're trying really hard not to tell me what you really think. Like just. Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, he could definitely end up on Love Island or The Challenge. I could see him definitely being on that. That's right up his alley. It seems like half of our Big Brother alumni and that anyone who's under like the age of like 27 ends up on The Challenge at some point.
He could probably go on The Bachelorette too.
As being the Bachelor?
No, not the Bachelorette. So he would be like one of the 10 guys.
Yeah, maybe, but I think he has to be able to hold a conversation a little bit better.
People's core.
Well, no, but they always have the dumb, good-looking guy who gets thrown out early.
But okay.
Well, he actually floats along a little too far because he is good-looking.
And he has to have money backing him. If you're the big dumb animal on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, then you have to have money backing you. It's like a rule.
Well, it's the same with life, right?
True. Such truth. So much truth.
And that is why I'm single.
and living
so
in
many more reasons.
Oh, see, he's just after you. He's after you today.
That's all right.
Oh, no.
It's so hard to be on the block, baby. Put you on the block. Start bullying
you still have a full head of hair, dude. So.
Oh no, JP just blocked me.
It all comes around. That's that tit for tat we were talking about.
Not true. Oh, now we're going to be an explicit.
Oh.
So what do you think, guys? Sarah Beth.
We just get rid of Dave.
Oh no.
What are we thinking she's gonna? Who do you think? Most likely, if it's her own, not whispers from Tiffany.
I'm telling you, I think this week I don't know where she's leaning because I can't tell. Do you know what I mean? She's kind of
plays things pretty well. Okay, we know she has issues with Hannah. We forgot she's been so quiet for 3 weeks. Hannah's going to end up on the block, y'all.
Yeah, no,
could be Hannah and Tiffany. That could actually be her play.
Yep, that's where my money's at. But
then who's the backdoor plan?
But then isn't Kylan and the rest of those guys going to be like, no, we're not. No, neither one of them's going.
Well, they may try that.
No, they would probably. If we could save both of them, great. We'll do what we can. But if we can't, what's the plan? Hannah stays.
We're gonna absolutely plan for one of them to at least be brought down so they can have an opportunity to put somebody else up that they want to vote for.
Right.
I think.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Who would SB's backup be in that scenario?
I'm going to make a very, very bold prediction here. All right.
Okay.
This is what I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think next week they bring Brittany back just to put her on the block.
Yeah. Big Nash is with me. He says, I could see Derek X getting backdoored. Unfortunately, I hope Derek X stays. I agree. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I think she could put up a Hannah and a Tiffany, but they're gonna all work on that veto to try to get one of them off the block. And then put somebody else, and then they would get in there and say, "Oh, put him up."
Okay, and this is going to be kind of interesting because let's just play this out as far as just like personality types go, and the alliance itself. I think that Tiffany, Claire, Hannah would likely all be under the understanding the second that they saw she won. It would most likely be Tiffany and Hannah that get placed on the block as real or false targets.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Do you think
so? That means they're going to really have to like count on the money, do some sweet talking.
Yeah. We have to vote for money this week.
No. Does anybody remember the next level contest? How much money you had to have? I thought it was $250. That would mean no one will have it.
It's 50
for a while, for a couple weeks.
Wasn't it like 50?
It was
75.
Like 50.
Well, it was 50, 250, and 300. If that is the case,
I want to say that it was.
But they wouldn't do that because then there wouldn't be a game this week.
Well, I want to say it was 2 because Brittany had won how much? Because she was going to save it because she thought she was safe.
Right. She had 100.
She had 100.
Okay.
Derek X had 100.
And Derek X will get another 100, so he'll have 200.
And Derek F has 100, right?
Right.
And Derek F will get another 100 too, I bet.
And they get this money pretty early on. Like I think that it was really quick last time. Like I thought there was still more time to vote when I started seeing that they were getting called for their money.
We have to votes have to. I think it's tomorrow sometime. Votes have to be in by like I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time on it.
I wonder what would happen if I voted for JP.
That money, like, unless Twitter fans like decide to totally double down, like the Facebook fans, the casual fans are gonna win out on this because there's a couple different Facebook groups that have got Big Brother fan Facebook groups, and just seeing where the popularity is, that like kind of it's not on it's exactly who you would think.
So if Brittany can't be that third person to get 100, who will take her place? Who bumps up from middle?
Azza, probably. I think it's going to be Big D, Derek X.
Azza got 10 votes
it'll either
already.
be Azza or Hannah. It's going to be Azza or Hannah.
I don't think Hannah's going to get it.
She's pretty high in the polls. She's like number 3. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Or she was like 2 days ago. That thing changes like every day. So,
you think they'll have another? No, they don't have the veto. They won't be able to have a second veto this week. What were the other two? What were the other two powers?
One was you had a 50-50 chance of overthrowing the HOH.
That's right. Yep, the switcheroo. God, at least they don't have the undo the week. Do you remember that twist where they got to rewind the entire week?
Was the overthrowing the HOH?
Yeah, they did like the backwards video 7 times. Yeah.
Yep.
Are we?
School teacher Rachel says, she got my vote.
Hannah.
Here we go.
At
least somebody cares.
Okay. But what was the overthrowing the HOH? Was that the mid one or was that the high one?
There was one that was a roulette wheel.
That's the next one. I'm pretty sure.
But I don't think that's the HOH because the HOH was a coin flip.
Yeah, I think the HOH is the last one, and that the roulette is the one coming up.
But what was the prize?
They've talked about the roulette a lot this week, but I'm horrible with my ADD attention span, so I hear things and then I zone out. But constantly are talking about that roulette. So there's already people kind of going, okay, if we get the roulette, what do we do? What do we do?
Wasn't that was the roulette one where you get a chance at putting a third nomination up?
Maybe.
Wasn't there one that was like that?
Yeah, where you have a third veto, like a third nomination.
A third nomination. You get to put somebody up.
I think the first one should be you get to bring Brittany back just to vote.
Rapping Brittany.
There's nothing in this contract that says my third nomination can't be somebody that's gone. It's Brittany.
Let's send her home again.
Could you imagine? Oh my gosh, how funny would it be though to have her come back in, because she would just be like, do you think she'd finally just like let go and just totally terrorize the house? Still holding on to my dreams, guys. Big dreams. No, she's going to spend a week. She's going to spend a week in the jury house, like chilling. Okay, you know what? The first 2 days might be really nice for Brittany to kind of unwind for a minute, but like she's the personality type that probably would hate an entire week of being by herself.
Yeah, the first person whoever's voted out next week.
Oh my gosh, bless her heart.
She's going to be like, wow. She's going to pounce on them.
Tiffany's so funny because she's like, listen, hun. She's like, listen, whenever I'm quiet and there's silence, that's not an indication that there's a void you have to fill. She's like, we can just sit here quietly together in the same room with peace. It's fine.
Nervous talking. Some people are nervous talkers. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting week because I don't really know where Sarah Beth's at, and this money thing is going to make it interesting. I think. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I don't know. We'll get a week maybe of some little bit of chaotic craziness that's fun to follow, and then we'll have our triple, and I don't know.
And they have to save their expense. That's all I gotta say. You better not go home.
Well, we'll see what happens, and we'll be here next week to talk about it.
That's right.
Hopefully I'll be on some more sleep.
You can subscribe. You can. You'll get the notifications of when we're going to be on, and but it'll be the same time, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central.
Yes.
For another hot minute, when we roll past this week, we're going to have a little change of schedule, I think, as far as Thursday nights go.
After August?
For the September schedule.
Is there only one more week for August?
I feel like it starts an hour later for the September schedule.
Oh, I can't do an hour later.
Talk to Julie, man.
We'll figure it out.
Get her on the phone.
Jen Moonves?
She didn't want justice this week. She didn't ask for justice. So.
No, but she said some like Yoda thing. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. It was weird and uncomfortable.
She told them all that she loved them. She loves them all. They're all her children.
He said some Yoda thing, like touch other women. He didn't.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it was. You bet. Complete admittance.
All right,
so it doesn't count.
Vinegar tonight, I guess.
He's on a hot streak of cray-cray. Listen, the walls are closing in on him. It's getting really tough. He's going to have to start cutting ties, slashing throats. This is part of the game. David's got it. He knows what's up. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This is serious.
Exactly. I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat tonight. That was awesome, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you much.
Yeah. And
there were a lot of comments tonight.
Yeah, lots of comments.
Oh, call out to Jack Gladfelter. Fight the power, Jack.
Yeah.
Justice for Jack.
Justice for Jack.
All right, now we're going to get his other account banned.
His other, 7.
He's got it. He's fine.
All right, guys.
It's been real.
See you next week.
Bye.
Yep. See ya. Bye.